Hi, may peace be upon you, my name is Mirzawr and welcome to Dicentra. I just saw this game on itch.io and I just fell in love with the art style immediately. The description of the game said most of the background in this game is hand-drawn. I think all of it is hand-drawn, if I'm correct. So yeah, it just looked amazing and I want to test it for myself. Also, this game is a demo, so if you want to try it for yourself, I will leave the game link down below. So try it yourself if you want to. You can play it first and then see my playthrough if you want to do that. Oh, also this is my first ever recording in my new house. So if you see the wall there, this room hasn't been like painted yet because my room is actually not a room. It's actually a storeroom. So yeah, you know, my family is big, so all the other rooms is occupied by my other siblings. And I'm like, I can just use a storeroom. I just need my computer and my sleeping quarters down there, the mountain of pillows. So yeah, without further ado, let's start, shall we? This game contains content with blood, death, violence, unhealthy relationship between characters, and horrific imagery that players may find uncomfortable or disturbing. Player discretion is advised. Please play responsibly and take care of yourself. Content warning. Listen to that. Alright? So if you're not good with this stuff, don't watch this video. Oh my god! This looks amazing! I drag myself through the rain. It blurs my vision, forcing me to feel my way through the forest. Wind crushing against me from all sides. Prayer is my only form of navigation, but I think the blood running through my veins prevents me from landing in God's graces. I fumble over the tangle of roots and slip over the wet moss. My bones instantly shudder from the cold shock running through my nails as I grab onto a nearby rock. A pathetic whine escapes my throat. My grandmother would have a ball if she could see me now. I can hear her snide remark already. See what happens when you don't listen to me. It's as if I wouldn't survive long enough to hear the real deal. I sniffled in frustration and tried to shake the feeling away with the rain dripping down my face. She's all right. She's always right, of course. For just a moment, my defiance had given me everything I wanted. Lost in thought, I lost control of my limbs. I'm not used to using them all at once, and it's enough to throw me back into the sleek earth. Now I really want to cry. The storm is harsh. A thick canopy of trees above me does little to shield me from its rage. They passively turn their leaves away instead, tempting me to scream my grandmother's harshest curse at them. Am I losing it? I shakily lift myself from the ground, snorting weakly into a puddle. For the middle of summer, it sure is pouring hard. The rain feels like shards of ice against my skin. I watch it distort the reflection in the puddle with ripples. In the brief moments where the reflection almost settles, I see piercing yellow eyes, dark fur, and wilted ears sleek and clinging to the small vulnerable form of wolf pup. The voice of my grandmother hisses in my mind. What have you done, Basil? I need to get back home. I tear away from the puddle and track on. Please, something, lead me back home. Something, anything. Maybe that's a risky thing to ask this forest, though, because something's answers. It's so faint that I question if it's even real. A howl cuts through the wind, or perhaps it's the wind that shrinks away from the sound that ambles us through. Finding my way through the storm has exhausted my body. The frontal lobe of my brain begins to neglect its responsibility to remember what reason is. All my instincts scream to ignore it, but my heart, a stupidly curious thing, makes me take a step forward. My fuzzy ears pick up the heavy sounds of my heart pounding. I try to convince myself it's because of fear. I need to focus on where's the howling coming from. As I get closer to the sound, it begins to resemble crying. The storm has also started to retract its claws. Was it the forest showing mercy? Or is it submitted to something more formidable? I live in the woods my whole life. I should have known better than anyone to never get too comfortable. A red light perforates the dark atmosphere. I swallow harshly. There's a mansion in the middle of the woods. Oh. Also, I noticed that I'm not actually a human. I'm a pup. I'm a wolf pup. Or am I a dog? I don't know. From a distance, it will look abandoned. If not for the hazy red light coming from the rooftop. I squint. Is that a greenhouse? The shadowy figure moves quickly behind its clear walls, startling me. I duck into the tall and neglected grass that grows in the mansion yard. After a short while, I peek through the blades. The shadow is gone. Did I imagine it? I raise a nervous sigh and observe the grounds for any sign of life or death. It was a bad idea to come here. A terrible one, even. I can't stay here. I retreat back to the shadows of the forest, keeping the mansion in my line of sight. The moment I feel bold enough to turn my back against it, a powerful gale slams into me. I turn back hard, skidding across the ground and into the tall grass with a cry. It takes me a moment to recover from my swirling vision. A lot of whimper as pain blooms from my arm. It's too dark to see clearly, but it swells up when I try to move. Oh no! Oh no, no, no! I grip my teeth and get back on my feet. Keep all my weight off my arm as I make for the forest again. I'm denied entrance by the mysterious force. Panic starts to seep through my bones. I almost wish I could go back to feeling hopeless. I stare at the trees as though they will suddenly start playing nice, but being as ancient as them do not bend to anyone's will but their own. The wind gives one more shove. It insists I move forward. I bare my adolescent's fang at it to smooth the hurt. I know now that my choices were nothing but illusions. I face the mansion once again. It's clear that something or someone from the inside is inviting me in. With no other choice, I creep along the worn brick walls of the mansion and try to find a way in. Oh, alright, my first choice. Quick save. No, save. Reset. First and foremost, this looks amazing. Whoever draws this, you're amazing. Holy crap. I love art so much. That looks so beautiful. I got to a window, I got to a cellar door. I go somewhere else. I can check the window first, right? I go to a window. I spy a broken window and see a gauzy white curtain crashing against the glass from the intruding storm. Sadly, it's far too high for me to climb, and there's no way I can jump into this state. Go to cellar door. Alright, the cellar door. I open a door to a cellar. The wood looks rotten, but doesn't give when I put my weight on it. It's also too heavy for me to open without thumbs. Yeah, you're a pup, you don't have a thumb. I'll go somewhere else. A faint knocking grabs my attention. I pad to the back of the mansion, and my saving grace comes into the form of a door, left slightly ajar. Alright. Aha! I nudge my nose into the tight gap, and relief washes over me when it parts. Then... ooh, okay. An ear-piercing screech echoes through the mansion as the hinges begin to shift. From the looks of it, they haven't moved for a long time. The feeling of ice flood my veins. I stay frozen in the doorway. If this mansion is inhabited, there's no way I didn't just announce my entrance. Fear takes over again. My back paw intuitively step back so I can attempt to run as far away from this place as I can. Did I get shot? The sound of thunder or there's thunder. The sound of thunder explodes behind me. I feel my body take on a life on its own as I throw myself into the mansion against my will. The door slams on my way in. Oh! I breathe slowly when I come to my senses. I'm in the kitchen. Damn, if I enter a place and the door slams behind my back, I will get out immediately. I know, I watched a lot of horror movies to know what will happen next. It's dark inside the house. The only source of light comes from the window above the counters. Everything beyond is a void. I see a kitchen table and crawl towards it, crunching my nails along the musty wood flooring in a rush to get beneath it. I stare at the table as my breathing starts returning to a normal pace. My eyes are wide and my ears are perked up, on the lookout for anything that could be a trap. The only sounds I pick up are the heavy drums of rain from outside, and the occasional creak of the measured walls reading in the night air. Man, I love the sound of rain. It's so comfortable. But in like scary environment as this, I don't know. when I'm confident that there's no sign of life inside this manor, I crawl back into the open and immediately shake off as much rain and mud as I can. I let myself celebrate the minor luxury of finally escaping the maws of weather, but I don't let my nerves calm down just yet. As soon as my eyes adjust better to the dark, I take the time to study my surroundings more. I notice a hearth that lacks any recent maintenance. Dishes crowd the counter, and a thick layer of dust forces me to smolder a sneeze. This place hasn't been occupied in a long time. Surely I can allow myself to breathe just a little bit easier in this space, at least until the storm rains. I bring a deep inhale, being careful not to get any dust, and tread cautiously. As I stalk further in, I hold my breath at every corner, carefully looking in all directions for danger. Oh my god, I know I said this already, but man, the background looks nice. The art is so amazing. I love it. It looks so clean. The rest of the mansion is as devoid of life as the kitchen. Most of the rooms here have closed doors. The ones I could see in were graciously empty, sans the relic furnishing within. Barely anything is in decent shape. I couldn't guess how long it's been since a human lived in this manor, but based on the scratched hardwood floors and the broken but intricate looking side table nestled in the dark corner, I have the impression that this place was neglected even while it was occupied. My nails tap on the floor as I limp into the hallway, my mind settling from all the adrenaline. The ache in my front leg starts to swell, and the heat of my body intensifies the pain. Paintings line the walls from end to end, but it's hard to see them in the dark. Through a glimpse of light, I could make out some faded landscape, a few mountains, some castles, and a couple of portraits. One portrait in particular catches my eyes. I stop in front of it. I stare at the portrait, foolishly thinking that it's staring right back. Surely it's just a slight fever settling in and making me come up with silly things. I don't think I've lost my mind just yet, though. As I observe the side profile of a pale woman, I notice that she's eerily the most realistic painting I've seen so far. Oh god! When she turns her head to look down at my tiny form, every hair in my body goes stiff. Her lovely features, captured in oil, begins to melt off as she steps out from the painting. Smooth ivory skin shrivels to a deathly paler. The elaborate gown clinging to her sharp shoulders begins to rot as her torso parts open like a blooming rose, revealing decaying bone and organs that run down her skirt like horrific decor. Oh my god! Oh my beautiful. Oh, I immediately start running away as fast as I physically can. Oh my, good on you. As I scramble to get away on my hurt leg, I hear something that might be worse than a ghost. Oh god. The woody and spicy scent of incense fills the humid air, creating a hazy purple fog. The sound of chains moving in a controlled rhythm rattles me to the marrow in my bones. Footsteps follow shortly after, growing louder alongside the clicking chains. Oh my god, it's coming from the staircase. My breath quickens. I slide to a halt and backtrack away from the sounds. I look behind me. Don't look behind! That's that sentence. And see the glowing apparition of the woman hunched form stumbling towards me, dragging a trail of gore with a wet squelch. Hide! I need to hide! But where? My eyes dart across every inch of the hallway, desperately searching for a small sanctuary. The footsteps are right behind me. The ghost is right in front of me. This hallway now feels like a tomb. All of the doors are firmly shut. I press against a wall, my heart skipping a beat when I notice a faint tapping sound coming from behind me. I turn around and witness the outline of a door revealing itself. Okay, I waste no time shoving my muzzle between the crack to wedge it open. As soon as I pry the door open, I heard myself through, back into the darkness. I walk backwards away from the door, keeping my eyes on it. I'm so focused on the door that I bump into something cold and almost trip it over it. It is behind me, isn't it? I look up and see a dark iron staircase curling up to a high ceiling. A hatch near the top is open, letting the rain from outside drip down onto the cold metal. Oh, I hear footsteps once again. This time much louder. I don't dare to breathe or move. Okay, hello, mister. There you are. The voice startles me into moving. No way was I about to stick around and find out what fate awaits me. Every fiber of my being is ringing with danger as I climb the stairs with only adrenaline instructing my limbs. I drag myself up the iron step until I'm bursting onto the roof and I lag into the storm. I'm not thinking anymore. I steer the greenhouse I had spotted earlier and sprint toward it as fast as I can. I search for a small space to crawl into, tripping over a mess of vines along the way. Tiny a lightning roar above me. A bright flash of white blinds me. I can feel my claws scratch against the wet tiles. A door slams shut in the distance, causing a rippling effect in the walls and reaching the rooftop. When the rippling stops, everything goes quiet. The energy of the manor shifts completely. A jar of lightning from the storm makes my fur stand. It charges the air and saturates it with the smell of ozone. I shake the rain from my face. It's wet. The whole world has fallen silent, except for the sound of chilling drip. Basil. I freeze. My eyes carefully follow the coil of dead roots on the grey floor of the greenhouse. Drip. I follow its trail all the way to the blood dripping on the dirty tiles and the pale feet beside it. Drip. My eyes climb the mysterious figure. I don't think I ever forget the sight before me for a short as I live. Drip. Lightning flashes brightly through the tall windows. Looming rose bushes creep along them. White roses sparkle across its dark leaves like stars in the night sky. The bright flowers begin to bleed red before my very eyes. At the rose bush crimson-soaked center, a small girl stands with her back towards me. Blood drips from tiny bite marks all over her hand. A red flower bulb is crushed between her delicate fingers. Oh! Drip, drip, drip. Oh my god. Instead of strong forest scent, the smell of burning paper and wilting lilacs floods my senses. A whine unwillingly crawls up my throat and cuts through the silence. Time resumes once again. The girl turns, her gaze piercing right through me. The bulb drops from her hand. She doesn't say a word. Her attention is mine, against my own will. Black dots begin to appear in the corners of my vision. The last thing I saw was her walking towards me, before everything faded to dark. My fever is brutal throughout the night. I slip in and out of consciousness. The flames beneath my skin and ache I rather sleep off than face. I try to let my body go back to sleep, but a strong hand forces my jaws open and shoves something down my throat. The intrusion makes me violently resist, but I'm far too weak to fan the intruder away. The dark takes me to its arms once again. I wake to the tang of frothy metal and human air. The unfamiliar sensation makes my eyes snap open. Beyond the small cage that holds me is dark and damp. I clench my jaw as I examine my surroundings. Soon my eyes fixate on the ghost staring at me from inside my metal prison. Oh, hello there. Hello there. I yelp and throw my body backwards, hit the back of the cage. I expect the bite of hard metal on my back, but something smooth bends around my ship instead. It hisses at me in response. I don't think it liked that very much. My claws scrape the cold floor of the cage as I spin. The bars behind me morph into slithering vipers in defensive stances, each one baring their fangs in anger. Careful. The venom will make the blood in your body solidify in seconds. That wouldn't be a very pleasant way to die. I look at the ghost in horror. I'm breathing so quickly that I'm convinced I'll die from lack of oxygen, or so I think. The vipers settle back into metal bars, and I make myself small. I don't want to risk testing their patience again. The ghost is not a ghost, but a girl. Her hair looks like ink that's been violently knocked over and spilled onto the floor. It melts into the dark surroundings, contrasting her grey and sickly looking skin. Her expression is blank. I see her hands tightly clutching her white gown. Do you bite? Do you? I want to ask. I reveal my teeth. No, the mouth is open. I reveal my teeth through a snarl and watch as she knows her with a small smile. The fur along my spine stands up. She starts to move and I flinch. The girl crawls over the cage and curls my nails. She reaches for me, a pale hand passing between the bars without resistance. It freezes right in front of me, in front of my snout. Is she checking to see if I would really bite? Has she no fear, offering her hand so fearlessly in the presence of a beast? I may only be a pup, but the sheer force of my jaws can pierce right to her palm. Oh, don't bite her hand! I put my face away from her hand and see her startled from my peripheral vision. She pulls her hand back and holds it against her collar. My eyes lock with hers as she stares at me with her lips pressed together. It will be hard for me to protect you if you're too scaredy cat to do as I say. My eyes snap back to the girl. I watch as she stands and wipes her hand on her dress, not showing a single care about how dirty it's become. If you want to survive, you have to listen to my instructions, okay, doggy? She tilts her head like she expects me to respond. Don't try to be too brave. If you're smart, you'll stay careful. The others have too much fight in them. It made them foolish. My heart pounds in my chest from her words alone. She gives me another haunting smile. When your arm is better, I'll take you for a walk before he gets back. This is what she sounds like when she's excited. It's unsettling. She suddenly moved close to the cage again. I jump and back away, just enough where I don't risk getting into trouble with the vipers again. The scent of burning parchment and wilting lilacs returns. The girl's hair falls off her shoulders. I expected the ink to trickle down and dye her dress black. My name is Dove, or Dove. Horrible to meet you, Dove. Roses. I spent the night nursing the dregs of my fever. When I first woken up, I didn't take notice of how much it had been soothed. But now vague memories of violating hands surface in my thoughts. Did the girl, Dove, give me a kind of medicine during the height of my fever? My body still feels uncomfortably warm. I rest my head on one arm and glance at the one that had been hurt earlier. A clean bandage is firmly wrapped around it, not enough to cut off the blood flow, but enough to restrict its movement. Was this also Dove's handiwork? Not homework. Was this also Dove's handiwork? I sigh softly through my nose and close my eyes. Time passes ambiguously in the cage. United to the reference, I don't know if it's been mere hours or days. A bowl of water sits in the corner of my cage, and from the dryness of my throat that I need to hydrate, but have yet to muster up the courage to approach the bars that slither and rattle every so often. When I'm desperate enough to finally quench my thirst, the bars relivingly keep their metal forms. Feeling better now, I curl into a ball and my tail cradles my face. I want to go home. Exhaustion catches up to me once again. I fall asleep on crusty metal and wake up on dusty wood. The sound of my wind chimes alert me into consciousness. My eyes snap open and my retinas are immediately burned by the color that floods into them. Ooh! On the floor in front of me is a kaleidoscope of lights created by the morning sun. Oh, it's morning! A stark contrast to the dark and dreary settings I was previously confined to. Maybe I dreamed it all in a feverish haze. I check on the gauze on the gaze on my arm. It's still there. A weight around my neck brings me back into focus. A collar is secured around my throat. Attached to it is a long, heavy chain that leads to the leg of a large wardrobe in the corner of the room. The bedroom. I think in my latest cage, there are no longer venomous bars to keep me, but the state of confinement has not changed. My eyes move from the rainbows on the floor to the line of the chain restraining me, then to the rest of the room. I look at the windows and find swirling murals, an expressive painting of various creatures and monsters. The sun behind them illuminates the floor with speckles of color like a stained glass window. Past the frame of the window, the drawings continue in nonsensical scrawl. Less art decorates the walls, but shelves with cracked plant pots and hanging tangles of ivy take their place. Dirty cups and bowls sit forgotten in a dark corner. I briefly note two shallow dishes near where I lay. They look like they would be used by a pet. Judging from the surprising lack of grime from under them, it hasn't been that long since they were last used. Dusty books and crumpled parchment litter the floorboards. Taking up half of the room is canopied bed. Dark curtains are pulled tightly together, preventing me from seeing inside. The sound of scratching captures my attention. I drag my gaze past pile of books. There, sitting on a raggedy blanket, hunched over and scribbling over the print in the book is Dove. Oh, she gnaws on her lip and pitches her brows. I can hear her whispering something to herself. No, that won't work. I slowly lift myself off the floor, cringing at the sound of clanking chains following my movement. Dove makes no move acknowledging my presence, so I continue approaching her. When I'm closer to her back, I'm able to get a better look at what she's furiously writing. Scribbles of occult symbol make the words on the pages completely illegible. I swallow a lump in my throat. The collar around my neck feels very heavy right now. Rip! Dove suddenly takes a page from the book. The jarring sound makes me jump and I slam into a tower of books, sending it toppling to the floor. Dread weighs heavily on me. I look back at Dove. Oh, Dove. She's now staring at me with wide eyes. You're awake! I release a small yelp and stare at her dumbfounded. She's brighter. Or maybe it's the luminous light filtering through the bedroom window. Something about this paints her in rose-tinted lens that makes my wariness waver. Yeah, she looks cute here, for some reason. She was scary when I first see her. That feeling instantly vanishes when she gets up and rushes toward me. Oh, now that's scary. I run away as fast as my legs allow me, but my air supply is abruptly cut off and I'm thrown off my feet. A sharp howl is pulled from my throat. I look behind me and see the chain of my collar is pulled taut. I had reached its limit, and I then see Dove standing in the spot I had borrowed from. Her gaze creeps along the chain, making its way to my crumpled form. I see blue eyes stare into mine and I shudder. It feels like she could unravel me through sight alone. She looks at me, like she knows. Then she perks up, snapping the tension away. Alright, you're probably starving. The others were also very skittish when they had empty bellies. Her voice trails off as though she's become lost in thought. She starts weaving through the mess of book piles to reach the bedroom door. Wait here! I don't have much of a choice. Dove returned with a bread roll and a bowl. She sets the bowl down a couple feet in front of me and retreats back to chew on her own food. I tentatively approach it. The bread smells like heaven. I lick my lips on instinct. It must have been ages since I last ate, because I watch her tear chunks from it and mark every little crumb falling onto her white dress with yearning. I look down at the bowl she left for me. The sound of red fleshy chunks greets me. Raw meat. She had given me a bowl of raw meat. I can't eat this. Well, maybe I could. But the idea of it has nausea coursing through me. I stare at the fresh blood pooling at the bottom of the bowl, and then I glance over at the bread. Then back down the bowl, feeling confounded. My stomach rolls. I can feel saliva start to drip down the side of my mouth. I can't do it. Are you gonna let it go to waste? Oh, hello! Well, Dove's voice comes from right above me and fear flutters in my stomach. Okay then. I snap up. Dove reaches for me and I flinch, scattering away. She kneels in front of the bowl and dips her hand into it, crushing a fistful of squishy red meat from between her fingers. She brings the raw meat to her mouth. Oh. I watch her eat it. A bile rises in my throat as I watch her chew through the raw flesh and swallow it with a sickly gulp. She covers her mouth with the back of her hand and gags, then looks at me. She smiles at me at her teeth stained in a glistening red. What a horrible taste! A thin stream of blood falls from the corner of her mouth. I suppose you'd like something a little more appetizing. She gasps again, then runs out of the room. Aww. I feel bad now. Basil, why don't you eat the raw meat, man? You're a pup. You're a wolf. You can eat that. I hear the sound of a retching from another room. Duff returns with a new bowl of what looks like stew. I inspect it thoroughly, thinking for insect or anything inedible. When I surmise that there's nothing of the sort, I dig in, greedily. My eyes begin to sting after the first couple bites. The stew is so bland. Hey, be more grateful. Come on, Basil. It makes me yearn for my grandmother's cooking so badly. Well now, from the corner of my eye, I can see Duff watching me like a hawk. Like all it takes is a single blink for me to disappear. If only I could. As I finish eating the stew, a soft thudding captures my attention. I look back to see my tail wagging against the floor. I feel my shriek with embarrassment. I immediately cease its movement, but not before Duff takes notice. Looks like your energy has returned. Her eyes move to my arm. Does it still hurt? I stare at Duff, then hesitantly put my weight on my wrapped arm. The sharp pain is mostly gone, but a dull ache still remains. If the opportunity for me to run away came, I could probably do it, but not without difficulty. I make a frustrated whine. Duff tilts her head at me, considering my reply. She approaches me again, slowly this time. That was not slow. I hold my breath as she clumped close, her hands hovering near the collar around my neck. I'm suddenly hyper-aware of how quiet it is. There's no drum of rain or crack of thunder to be heard from outside. Hope dares to grow inside my racing heart. Will you hurt me if I take it off? She's been nice. I answer her. I shake my head slightly. Duff gives me a curious look. Her hands hover for a short moment, then she nods. The weight of the collar lifts off my shoulders, then I bolt. My swift escape shoves Duff aside. I barely see her get thrown to the floor as I make for the open bedroom door. Duff makes a panic noise behind me. No! Basil! I mean, I understand, but my guy, I feel bad. It fades out in my rush to leave it behind. Then I'm back into the hallway where the horrors began. I need to go back to the kitchen! I sprint to the stairs. Then suddenly I'm skidding to a stop when a wall meets me at the end of the hall instead of the staircase. I stand in confusion. Did I go the wrong way? I look around the hall. I don't remember seeing this many doors. I think a feeling unravels in my guts. I run down a new hallway. Then I turn into another. Then another. My exploration of the manor was cut short when I first arrived, so maybe I can't remember everything well enough. But I swear, they are not the same halls I walked through before. After I turn into the 15th hallway in this new labyrinth, the sound of something being dragged cuts off my thoughts. I look behind me, fear pulsing in my veins. A ghostly figure slowly walks down the cross-section of another hall. Oh, what the hell? A long hair protrudes from his head, running down the floor stiffly like straws and hiding most of its long, thin limbs. I watch it disappear around the corner, completely frozen in my spot. Holy crap, that's scary. Another ghost. I've never seen one this corrupted before. I now feel extremely vulnerable, like a beacon standing in a long and open corridor. A tapping noise is next. My heart pounds violently in my chest as I search for the sound. I immediately see another ghost heading straight for me. I yell and crush myself against the wall, as if it will make me invisible. Oh my god, how many ghosts and creatures are in this house? This ghost staggers towards me with bony knees knocking together. A thin veil covers its upper body and something that resembles a bird's beak peek out at its chest. The closer it gets to the better I'm able to make out the detail of its leathery skin and the beady bloodshot eyes that dapple across its face above the rotting beak. Little thin arms bend sharply at the elbow and reach back behind the ghost's head. It balances on its elbows and pulls itself towards on them. I make myself paper thin and shiver when part of his elbow brushes against one of my paws. I start breathing again when it passes quietly, then back away into an intersection of hallways. Another ghost almost tramples me. Oh my god! How many? The ghosts follow one another down the path of the bird-like ghosts. One is cluster of what looks like fungi and twisting fabric that melts into pumped flesh. A stringy network of mycelium trails behind it. The other creates a sound of glass crunching together with every steady step it takes. Its arms stick out like pieces of wood that slightly swing as it walks. Where its face should be is a void, framed by jagged, broken piece of porcelain skin. I can still make out the tragedy-made uniform that clings into its bloated form. I follow the ghost in a trance, like a line of school children that walk along a well-known path. Normally, when a ghost is corrupted from being trapped in the line of living, every semblance of diamond is lost. So where do these ghosts talk with so much purpose? They navigate the hallways with a hesitation, twisting and turning through a road already well worn. Then so painfully easy, I had been led back to the kitchen. Oh, I see Duff standing on the kitchen table, delicately twisting an incandescent bulb into the hanging light fixture. The dried black tears stain her cheeks, but her expression betrays the sign of dejection. Another bulb is held loosely in her other hand. This one had been burned out so badly that no light can penetrate its ashy, blackened surface. It took 40 years to develop this type of filament. The ghost surrounds her. Oh my god. I watched them reach for her and open my jaws to bark out a warning, but I choke on my rising panic. Duff doesn't notice them and continues to screw in the bulb. I read that these bulbs can stay lit up to 1,200 hours. Claws brush against her skin. And yet, after less than a week, their legacy of lighting the dark has been snuffed out forever. Yet one last turn of her wrist, lights envelops the room. Something so wonderful. Duff stares into the bulb's light, and her fingers caress the glass. Only it breaks in a place like this. The ghosts have vanished. Duff gives no hint of awareness for the presence that had just left them. My blood thuds in my ears. Could she not see them? I look at the door that I had used to enter the mansion. I hear Duff off her hands and toss the old bulb into a box where it shatters amongst the other piece of glasses. Okay. She sighs wearily. How long will this cycle continue for? I barely hear her words. Instead, I stare at the wall where the back door should be. And there is no door. I immediately freak out. I run to the wall, ignoring the ache of my arm, and crash at the old wallpaper, hoping the door was only hidden behind it. My claws tear through wood, but as I continue scratching, the outline of the door does not reveal itself. I back away, staring at the shredded decoration and breathing rapidly. It's not there anymore. I turn my head up and see Duff sitting on the kitchen table, swinging her legs. She stares at the wall I had torn up and gives me a blank expression. I explode. My body ignites with fire rage as I growl and snarl at her. Bark, 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 bark! She frowns and her eyes turn downcast with guilt. I don't know how to get it back. She don't know, man. I give up. It doesn't help to be mad right now, right? I whimper and go back to scratch the door more in desperation. I'm sorry. Enough. I'm tired of seeing you wallow in your despair. I reply with indignant huff. I see Duff puff her cheeks in annoyance. Oh, she is cute. I turn my head away and rest it on my jaws. There's no way out. It's better for you just to accept it. A growl rumbles in my throat. Even the front door is gone, so instead of wasting your time, you may as well follow me and keep yourself occupied. I wish I could cry. My eyes lay flat against my skull. Oh, I let myself right in the mouth of a carnivorous flower with the sweetness of shelter to lure me in. I never considered whether it would let me go once I treaded past its sharp teeth. I take a peek at Dove. She doesn't seem to have any problem with being a caged bird. Is she so comfortable living in this condition that she can't even see how strong it is? How can anyone possibly live like this? Her patience reaches its end and she slides off the kitchen table. I cry out when she hauls me off the ground, and I bare my fangs at her with her face appears right before mine. My glare doesn't faze her. Follow, Wolf. There is much to do. We return to the labyrinth of hallways. Daphne seems to know her way around them well. Now that I'm not frantically running through them, I notice how much different the atmosphere of the manor is. Less dirt coats the floor, ceiling lights illuminates the hallways, and it almost feels peaceful. Daphne stopped by a closet in the hallway. She grabs onto the handles of the door and it opens up to reveal shelves and cupboards of miscellaneous tools and supplies. She climbs a stool to reach the highest shelf and retrieves a box with small buckets and brushes. The stool she stands on starts to sway and I tense. She climbs back down without issue and then leads me into a room I recognize. She makes her way to the broken side table I spotted when I was first exploring the rooms of the mansion, and I take the time to look around. A dining table with only 3 chairs take up most of the room. A candle spike up from the top like stalagmites. There's so many that I think they would render a fire hazard if they were all to be lit. Yeah, there's a lot of the candles. Hard and wax drip over the edge. I can see the end of a fountain pen, as well as scraps of paper. I'm unable to see a wall of ink from my position, but I assume that is what runs down the dusty tablecloth in dark splotches. A glint catches my attention. On the other side of the room, I'm unsettled by the mirrors that covers the wall from ceiling to ceiling, from floor to ceiling. I swallow a lump that forms in my throat and do not let my eyes linger on them. I lay on the floor and watch her slather strongly scented glue on the broken leg of the table. She roughly connects the broken leg to the rest of the table and fans it with her hand so it dries faster. She tests its steadiness with a light finger, then scratches her nose when it wobbles. She twists around and digs in her box, then pulls out a roll of twine with a bright expression on her face. My brows furrow together. Daphne rolls the string around the leg and binds it tightly. When she's done, she sets the table straight again. It still rocks unsteadily, but it stays standing. That seems to be good enough for Daphne, because she picks up a box again and gives it a nod. Okay! I leap from my spot on the floor and spin to a loud noise in the corner of the room. The long-haired ghost from earlier stand bent over a broken vase. Oh, hello there! I flinch when Daphne let out a startled noise and starts to stride towards it. I bark in alarm. It's dangerous! She ignores me. Ziri! I grab the bag of the ground with my teeth to stop her. The mirror goes from angry to taking aback. She stops and looks down at me. I shock myself with my own action and quickly drop her skirt. Daphne considers me for a moment, then switches her attention back to the ghost and marches over to him. You klutz! My jaw drops. This ghost is friendly? I don't need another person to clean up after. The ghost laces its long fingers together and bows its head. When Daphne gets closer to it, she stumbles and cries out. The ghost snaps its head back up to her. Daphne checks the bottom of her foot and sees a shot embedded in the flesh. Red blooms from the small wound. The ghost makes a groaning sound and steps toward Daphne. She hears us when it walks through the messes of glass and drags it with them. Is concern for her? I observe the interaction befuddled. Everything I know about corrupted ghosts is being challenged. I pause to think about how the ghost rushed to her side earlier. The ghost tugs on Daphne's sleeve like it's asking for forgiveness. She continues to badger it while digging the shards out of her foot. I study them curiously. It wasn't because they wanted to cause her harm. I trail behind Daphne when she leaves to treat the small cut, and when she returns to clean up the mess. We leave the ghost and Daphne continues down whatever to-do list she has in her mind. While she paints over the scratches on the kitchen door, trying to match the old wallpaper, she speaks to me. Have you made all of them already? She doesn't speak again until we run into another ghost. Ah! Waits in the hallway for Daphne. She perks up when she sees what is holding. Oh! Thank you, Babel. She takes a small bundle of roses from it, freshly torn from its bush. I follow her to a window and see a tall tin glass vase with withered roses in it, sitting on the sill. Daphne takes out the dead flowers and replaces them. Then she pauses and looks down at something below. Her face reveals nothing as she tears her gaze away and makes her way down the hall again. Before following her, I stand on my haunches and try to peer out the window. A chill comes down on me when I look down and see a small patch of graves, each marked by small wooden crosses. I break away from the unnerving sight and turn towards the hall where Daphne had gone down. She stands at the end of the hall waiting for me. The bird-like ghost name is Grell, and the doll-like ghost name is Odette. Dove introduces them officially when we run into them as we go around the manor doing mundane tasks. It's a sight I can't get used to. I can't understand how a young girl can act so normal around such monstrous beings. Seeing their translucent leathery skin or the fluids that drip from their decaying flesh is enough to send me reeling. But she does not flinch or fear. Earlier, when they had surrounded her in the kitchen, she could tell they were there, burrowing their arms together to wrap her in a ghostly embrace, and she didn't care in the slightest. I start to think she's more disturbing than the ghost. To become this corrupted, they would have had to stay trapped in this plane for a long time. Why are they still here? Their horrific forms border on pitiful. To be this far gone, it has to be some type of hell. Dove walks among them like their family. That they are her family, though. No, that's not quite it. I reconsider my thoughts. Maybe the image of the graves flashes my mind. It's because she is theirs. I watch her guide Grell's gangly limbs out of the hallway so they can pass through, like they're nothing but an annoying sibling. A monster, just like them. Maybe this cage she lives in is of her own making. Dove does errands like a routine, putting books away in the library and cleaning up candles burned to the end of their wicks. By the time she finishes winding up a large grandfather clock in the hallway, the manor feels like a completely different place. The air is less stifled by dust particles. The rooms are brighter and it feels like a home now. As we walk back to Dove's room, the sun begins to descend into the blazing orange horizon, and the evening cicadas make their shrill voices heard. Despite the manor feeling more livable, there is a feeling it gives me that I cannot shake, a void that looks like a presence. It's like letters left unfinished, or tea half empty and turning cold. There's this sense of stagnation that places this manor outside of time's reach and leaves a noise that buzzes persistently in the air. Dove stops abruptly, and I almost trip over my paws trying not to run into her. I take a peek from behind her and immediately let out the yelp. Oh, hello! The very first ghost I've met stands at the end of the hallway. Dove doesn't move. I see the ghost stagger down the hall towards us, and I instinctively back away. Oh! Then Dove speaks. It's okay. I'm not reassured in the slightest. The ghost gets closer, and I see the details of her leaking entrails. Oh well, yeah, don't. I make a whimpering sound and hide behind Dove, keep myself close to the wall. She's harmless. She doesn't do anything. I throw a quick glance at Dove where her voice falters. But watch. The ghost is right beside us. Its milky eyes look down at Dove, and she holds its unseeing gaze with cold eyes. I don't breathe, but the sour smell of rot overwhelms my heightened sense of smell. Tension between Dove and the ghost creates a pressure that tints the air, making my lungs ache for oxygen. Pain seizes my chest. That's when I can no longer hold my breath in. The ghost continues down the hall passively. I exhale loudly. I startle when Dove clenches her fist beside me. Her eyes follow the ghost for a couple seconds longer, then she cut off her stare and moves on. I quickly chase after her, not wanting to be alone with this particular ghost ever again, if my luck allows it. I look back for a split second and the ghost had disappeared. Dove showed us square as we return to her room, since the sun has set in the opposite direction of her window. The scattering of colors from this morning is long gone. Her relationship with the hallway ghost is much different from the others. The way she spoke about her almost seemed resentful. I pet to a corner, stalling for a moment when I see the collar from earlier on the floor. I narrow my eyes at it and pick it up with my teeth, trying to show it at the far wall. I give the collar one last glare, and then curl up on the floor. Dove settles cross-legged in the middle of her book towers, and reaches for a random text. I let out a big yawn, feeling heavy after the events of the day. I don't know if there's enough time in the world to process everything that's happened to me since I left home. I close my eyes and feel the tremors of sleep close around me. Do you think people can come back from the dead? She asks it so quietly, I almost don't hear her. I don't think she expects an answer, and I cannot give her one. Dove's roses. I wince at the bites. The roses are extra hungry today. It's been so long since I fed them that their petals have bleached white. I watch as my blood saturates the colorless flowers, then narrows my eyes when I spot a parasitic fungi at the base of the bush. Part of the bush is already starting to wither because of it. I reach down and tear the terrible thing out. I know more will sprout in its place, but I refuse to leave such a blight near my creation. I walk to a different section of the greenhouse and throw it right next to the corpse of the fungi's latest victim. My heart clenches at the sight. Its eyes are still open. I press my finger down on the lips of the dead wolf. Oh, but it's too late. The terror in his face is already cemented in time. My fingers curl and my nails stab into my palm, making the bite stings. I listen to the rose bush and continue to feed them. Suddenly a lightning tragedy above me will allure in another pitiful soul tonight. Oh, I hear a door slam and I flinch, crushing a bulb in my hand. My ears listen intently, searching for lingering traces of his presence. When I find none, I take a deep breath and finally let myself relax. I take the bulb from its stem and my hands fall into my sides. The sound of the rain is so clear now, as I close my eyes to let it wash out everything else. I relish in its violence against the roof of the greenhouse and tremble under the crisp cracks of thunder. To pass the time, now that it's mine again, I whisper something my mother taught me under my breath. But I heard a whimper come from behind me. Oh! That's when I met her. When Basil met her. Oh my god! Man, I love the art style. Every art style in that demo is so amazing. Holy crap. Also, my throat is getting a bit tense because I haven't recorded in a while and I haven't read that much in a while. So my god, I was struggling a bit to get through it, but I enjoyed it. It's really fun. It's really amazing. I'm so, how do you say it, ingrained in it? I'm so like, what's the word? What's the word? My English is not my first language, so it's hard to express it. I'm so, what is the word? I want to know more of the story. It's so interesting, and like why is this girl like living with the ghosts and stuff, and why this one ghost she doesn't like, and why I'm trapped in this house, and why the door disappeared on me. So far the story is good. I like it. The art style is amazing, and I like it. I can't wait to see the full game. If the full game is out, I will definitely play it. This was an amazing demo, so you guys can try it for yourself. There's so much other options that I didn't choose, so you can see that for yourself. So for now, I will leave this video here. It's been an hour, so thank you so much guys for watching this video. If you like it, leave a like down below, comment down below what you think. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more of my content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!